The ancestors of the Belmont family are doomed to confront the power of the evil incarnate, Dracula. In 1917, a countess sought to revive the long-dead spirit of the vampire. Her name was Elizabeth Bartley. To revive him, she needed to travel all over Europe, enlisting help from all the powers of darkness. Go get him, fellas! 2 young vampire hunters set out to fulfill their destiny. Push back the evil hordes and drive the vampire back into his dark netherworld. I should have said go get him, fellas, after that. Welcome, everybody, to this special Let's Play for the month of June with Castlevania Bloodlines.
Why are we playing this in June?
I don't know. Because we have other things going on in October, Alex. That's why. But this time you should be excited, Alex, because we are actually playing the first and only Genesis Castlevania game. And you might be asking, well, why did it take them so long to bring a Castlevania game? Well, their answer is look at the pretty bunny, but they decided, okay, well, we're playing on this new one, let's innovate. One of the ways they did that? 2 characters. Now you'll notice, neither one of them is named Belmont.
You're right.
We'll get into that in a second, but you basically have a choice between a whip user, which is John Morris, or a spear user, Eric Lacard. I know a lot of people say Lacarde as the name. I say Lacard, that's what I'm used to saying. And of course we have John Morris from Texas, USA, because we in Texas love slaying vampires.
How was I going to guess that you were going to go with that character?
We're actually going to be, so this is going to be a unique Let's Play because we're going to be bouncing between the characters.
Oh, really?
Each level, so, but of course we have to start at the ruins of Castle Dracula. I know this is going to blow your mind, Alex, but this is a Castlevania game that doesn't stay in the castle.
Shocker.
We are actually going to be going on a European tour with the Texan John Morris. So let me go ahead and get into the history a little bit of the characters. Starting with John, because John is the one issue that kind of creates problems with the continuity. But before that, here's one of the biggest innovations of the game. Holy crap, it's video game pixelated gore. Get used to this, people. This game actually this was so bad in Europe, they had to edit it, like, really harsh, and rename it Castlevania The New Generation. So, this is just something you guys are going to have to get used to. Also, this is the game that tried to innovate from the formula, so you're going to see a lot of new mechanics that, unfortunately, before you ask, Alex, no, they never made it back to any other game.
Of course they didn't.
So, at least Genesis can say they had the innovative Castlevania title. So let's go ahead and get into the history of John Morris. Oh, okay. So, John is technically not related to the Belmonts. He's not related to really any family, except for Bram Stoker fans will know the name John Morris because of Quincy Morris from Bram Stoker's Dracula. I believe he is the son of Quincy Morris. And here's how the continuity got a little warped, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, and it's never been explained when, the Belmonts met the Morrises. And since their bloodline was, quote, dying out, they decided to bequeath the vampire killer to the Morrises. So it's not that he's just wielding a whip. He is wielding the vampire killer.
Isn't, like, the main Castlevania series, like, 300 years before this one?
Well, yes. But I hate to make the joke, but James Rolfe said it best. It's like taking 2 cannons and putting it together.
Right.
Because he's a walking continuity hiccup. But they've kept it. That's the thing, too. They kept it because later on in a DS game, we meet John Morris's son. So they kept it for some weird reason. But hey, we'll run with it right now.
That's a pretty image.
What was that?
I said that was a pretty image.
Nice and gory, right?
Well, I think Mortal Kombat was a little gorier than this.
We actually... Okay,
For
so
the time.
Yeah, this came out before Mortal Kombat on the consoles.
Right.
So we didn't have the whole dispute that Super Nintendo was sweat and...
Wall chicken.
Yep, wall chicken.
Wall
Thank you.
chicken.
We didn't have that whole debate. Castlevania was one of the ones that set the standard. There was one before it that did, but Castlevania kind of followed that formula. And also, the other thing, too, is that this was the era of the tyrannical Nintendo, even though that era technically never ended.
Yes.
So, with Sega, Konami got a little bit more license. They could do a little bit more with the license with this than Nintendo let them do. Now, one thing I'm also going to point out that people might notice in a gameplay change, again, that never occurred later, you'll notice there's a difference between the candles, right?
Right.
The one candles are always going to drop sub-weapons, so you always know that that's going to happen. That was something that they added for people who got annoyed. As soon as they dropped the candle, they lost the cool sub-weapon they wanted. So they decided, okay, well, we'll change up the candles. That's such a great concept, it was never added again. Thanks, Konami. Thanks for adding a feature that never came back.
What, so they got rid of the whole thing?
They only implemented it in Bloodlines, and then at that point, they never brought it back. That's kind of the dumb aspect there.
See, we still got
that
FM.
skeleton died on that.
Oh no.
Ah!
We got those classy Genesis sound effects.
The other thing that was also added is now there's a 4th scale to the weapon. So, like, where we had the Morning Star kind of thing, now we have this Lightning Whip. And for Eric, it's going to be, like, holy flames encompassing his spear kind of thing. I like that concept because it's just basically another double damage. One downside, though. Get hit once, you lose it.
Oh, that's
So it's Legend of Zelda all over again, right? But in the meantime, you do horrendous amounts of damage, and your sub-weapon is changed into basically a area-destroying nuke. And it changes between the characters. But as you can tell, a lot of years have passed by now, because Dracula's Chamber, it's seen better days. Here's another innovation that they did in the Genesis version. This was also around the time that Vector Man became a thing. And so we had to implement 3D mechanics wherever we could. And I'm not gonna lie, the Castlevania creators went a little nuts with their design in this game. Which you might like, because, that style is okay. That style is ultimately what brought Super Nintendo to Donkey Kong Country and all that. And I died. But that was gonna happen anyway, so, you guys can be mad at me all you want. I feed on your rage. So let's go ahead and do round 2 here. So already I've got to ask the question. It's the Castlevania formula here, Alex.
Yeah.
But you're seeing it on Genesis. Is it better or is it worse than it has been in the previous games?
Well...
What, you mean this is on Genesis?
This was the first and only Castlevania
Yeah,
game.
Sandra, did you miss the
to
whole
go to
Sega logo
Genesis.
at the start?
Well, hey, you never know.
I don't
Shows
think...
how much
What
Andrew
the-
was paying attention.
Well, about the last games, which systems they came on.
Castlevania was strictly a Nintendo.
Yes, they were NES.
Castlevania 1 through 3, all Super Nintendo. Castlevania 4, we even played the Game Boy versions.
Oh, yeah.
Konami stuck with Nintendo for a long time, and then eventually, because this was the tyrannical Nintendo, people got sick of them pretty dang quick. And so that's when Konami started looking at doing stuff for Sega and doing stuff for PlayStation. And in Japan, they were doing stuff for the MSX. For people who don't know the MSX, it's TurboGrafx 16. There.
Wasn't MSX a home computer?
MSX was roughly the equivalent of TurboGrafx 16. It was a home computer, but we got the console version of it. All right, so that's going to go ahead and do it for this level. When we get back, we're going to go into level 2.